to the module.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a special on Ultimate Play the Game using the real hardware of the Spectrum, only Spectrum games. Ashby Computers and Graphics, ACG, that's what we know them as. They worked on arcade machines and then switched to the Spectrum. Local heroes, Ashby de la Zouch is where they're from, which is very near to where we are. Local heroes. There was Chris Stamper, Tim Stamper, Carol Stamper, his wife, and John Lathbury. I think people will wonder what the fuss is with Rare, because I'm sure most people in the world will think, well, they make these sort of alright cartoony games. What's the fuss? Oh my God, Rare are the best in the world. Something very special happened in the UK in the early 1980s. The whole home computer industry, we were ahead. No, we were. Okay. Now that gave rise to the biggest processor of all time, before you question us. It also gave rise to the complete absence of government investment. Thanks, Thatcher. Well done. So it just fizzled out, and that was the end of it. Never mind. We'll buy American stuff now. And it also gave rise to, arguably, the best games in the world at the time. That's a big claim, because Nintendo are around. There's no Super Mario Brothers. I don't mean that. I mean before that. I mean Donkey Kong and things like that. I think these are the best games in the world at the time.
I think I played Donkey Kong on the Spectrum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great version on the Specky. I had one called, I think it was just called Kong, which is terrible. I had Mario Brothers. Mario Brothers is on the Spectrum as well. It's not very good. So yeah, we're just going to look at 6 Spectrum games. We'll probably mention the others, but we're just going to look at 6 Spectrum games. That's what was happening in the UK on the Spectrum. We're not going to do the Jetman games, so no Jetpack and whatever. We'll do that as a separate video later, because obviously one of those is on the NES. So yeah, they're called also Ultimate Play the Game, and let's have a look. Oh, that was me asking you. Have you got anything to say about Ultimate Play the Game?
Yeah, so Ultimate or Awesome. It's all about the gameplay, essentially, and game design. Yeah, about getting the most out of something very, very small.
Nothing hardware, basically. It does nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a chip. It doesn't do anything else. It does a bit of maths.
Yeah, okay. And, we were there, weren't we? We were at just the right age.
Yeah, it was slightly too young, but I think that makes us have a more nostalgia about it, actually.
Yeah. So, it should be good. We'll play some games and then we'll have a talk about it.
Yeah, let's have a look. So yeah, what cookie first?
Yeah, do it.
So not the first Ultimate game, but definitely one of the first. It might be the third, I think. So we're still only selling 16k games. 10k.
Oh, that's a very familiar looking menu, isn't it?
It is. So yeah, I'm going to play on caps and joystick, although I like playing on keys. Ultimate's keys layouts were terrible. So there we go. Colonel Custard is the first level. Charlie Chef has got to knock the custards into the bowl. That's how many you've got to get. But if that goes in, the number goes up. And you'll notice the Grouch from Sesame Street is launching the bad things from the bins.
What is that? Is that like a drawing pin?
Yeah. You're knocking on Colonel Custards. So I think this is a fun game. And for 10k, it's 10k. It's fantastic. I mean, you compare this to any other 16k Spectrum game that was made at the time. It's far and away ahead.
Was there any licenses issues with using the Cookie Monster?
Well, that's the thing. It isn't the Cookie Monster, but it is. So this is Sneaky Sugar. So obviously the movement's a little bit more elaborate.
Is there any way of stopping those fish bones going into the bowl?
Yeah, you've got to hit him with the flour bags. That actually follows you. Right, I'm going to try to show you something now. I'm just going to go down here, I'm just going to do this. Oh, I missed it. I'm just going to shoot up from there. And what all happens is...
Oh, right, they all bounce off the corner.
Design flaw in the game, really. They'll all, in the end, they'll all go in there. There we go. So we get to the next level. which is chunky chocolate.
Welcome to watching Kev sit in the corner. How many levels are there?
5. And each character's got a different movement.
That was the great thing about these early games, especially the good one. They managed to get a lot of gameplay out of not very much.
Yeah, and that enforced creativity. I think that's probably what we're going to be talking about. Really, is how it was specifically the Spectrum. This is Kraft cheese, I think. How it was specifically the Spectrum enforced you to be creative. To a certain extent, just because it was a blank canvas, but it was fast enough to move things around. But you didn't have a lot of memory. And I'm dead. I was hoping to get to the end then, never mind.
What were buttons?
The buttons is just B is fire, don't press the other buttons. It's a bit dodgy pressing the other buttons on the Mega Drive pad actually.
Is it?
We don't recommend using your Mega Drive pad as a Kempston joystick.
Why not?
You're sort of sending signals down the line that you shouldn't be. And it actually doesn't work on the ST. It actually messes it up. You actually shouldn't do it. Well, I mean, we're probably going to talk about the recent Xbox Rare compilation.
Yeah.
And the reviews really surprised me that people were saying... I mean, I thought the Ultimate games, to me, they're all shiny and perfect. And really good graphics. Challenging, but just fantastic gameplay. And a lot of the reviews were saying, well, they like the NES games, but the Spectrum games were sort of esoteric and difficult. Weird early stuff. I don't really get that at all. I think this is quite straightforward. It's very hard, but I don't think it's anything weird. It's not like those terrible 2600 games when no one really knew what gameplay was. This is a whole generation above that. It's quite, very. You pick up what you've got to do very quickly, and it's very straightforward what you've got to do. It's difficult, but there you go. Colonel Custard, Sneaky Sugar.
Where are you getting these names from?
I just remember them. They're just doing the inlay of the tape.
Well, that was the thing with you quite often they didn't tell you what you had to do on the game. I seem to remember.
Yeah, like a story or something. You got to guess.
A lot of the game was figuring out what you've actually got to do.
Yeah.
Which was genius, really.
Well, text adventures where there's something you've got to do the first thing you've got to do before you can do anything. There was a game called Rigel's Revenge. And it said, it's dark, can't see anything. North, it's dark, can't see anything. And you had to say, get goggles and wear goggles. It didn't really tell you that in the inlay, it hinted at it. Text adventures, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Right, next game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I mean, that was pretty fun. But
Yeah. 10k. $5.95.
But if you think, even the thing where you've hit the bag of flour or whatever, and it speeds up.
Yeah.
That's genius.
It's
the
frantic.
tension rises, doesn't it? It's like, oh god.
Crap, everything's flying around the screen, yeah. And it's like they already understand straight away the limitations of it being on the screen and what you can do. It's just about stuff flying around the screen.
Yeah.
They just nailed it in a way Atari didn't for years, Right, what we did, Transam. No, I never had this when I was little. I didn't get this until the Ultimate Collected Works compilation.
Can you play this on Burken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that all the games do Kempston joysticks. I think they do Sinclair as well. Some of them do these obscure types of joystick like Protec. Because of course the Spectrum didn't have a joystick port. So obviously there was always adapters with different standards. And then Sinclair came out with one that was different. But it was good because it's mapped to the number to the numbers. So Sinclair 1 is 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0. Sinclair 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can actually play games with 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 quite comfortably. So when you've got terrible controls, that's quite useful. So this one's 14k. Oh my god. Nice loading screen. All graphics allegedly drawn by Tim Stamper, although apparently also drawn by his girlfriend. Keyboard and joystick, there you go, just keyboard and joystick, so we'll assume that's Kempston. Start of the game.
Yeah, the thing is you need accelerate and a decelerate button. So
It doesn't have one, yeah. I can't remember the controls. To Transam.
maybe up and down, does it? Yeah.
It might be fire to go and it slows down.
It is, yeah.
Oh, right.
Okay, so the idea is you're in like post-apocalyptic America, and the idea is to crash into the trees.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you score points.
So there's nighttime driving, and so you can speed up and that. The idea is you got to get some trophies or something like that.
Oh, Cup Zero.
Cup Zero, yeah. And what I used to do is just drive around, basically.
There's something a bit funky about the scrolling, isn't there? I've never noticed that, but then again, the times I've played this on a real Spectrum are probably like once. I played it on an emulator. But was it just the movement of the car? Because you turn it looks a bit weird, but there's a bit of the dots to show the landscape aren't quite lined up with the things you can crash into.
Yeah. Oh, it's been so long since I played this game. It's ridiculous. But yeah, there's petrol stations.
Oh yeah, you can run out of petrol, can't you?
Yeah. So basically, you drive around. Other cars are trying to track you down. So like, there's like the dots on the screen. You see on the left, you've got like a radar.
Yeah.
That's telling you where everything is. If you speed up too much, your heat goes up and you can overheat. And I'm running out of fuel here quite seriously.
So I assume the dots on the map of the petrol stations are like.
That's it, yeah. So they're like the towns in America. Where the hell am I?
See, okay, so where are we going now? Is that
I'm going to
Nirvana?
Yeah, and there it is.
Oh, you nearly got to Nirvana.
Yeah.
This is a nice one to do because it's not really anything like any other Ultimate game. There aren't that many Ultimate games, but there's a lot of repetition. And this isn't like anything. But it does, tie in with some stuff they did later. The RC Pro-Am, the remote control cars on the NES, was a part of their thing, and obviously influenced Micro Machines.
Yeah, and the original Grand Theft Auto, remember them?
Yeah.
Flipping out, I'm just trying to treat it.
If you compare it to arcade games of the time, everyone says, that because they had experience in arcades, that it's kind of a bit funky to me. The scrolling's weird.
Yeah. Look!
Oh.
As soon as I see one, I drive straight towards it.
Yeah, obstacle I must hit.
Alright, let's go this way.
There can't be obstacles that way. There we go, Kansas.
There we go. Got some fuel there. See that? The baddies can't actually drive through the petrol stations, which is nice, from what I remember.
Oh, you can hide in the petrol stations.
Yeah, so if you've got one on your tail,
how does that happen? How is it possible? There's all that space and there's one.
It's all pretty randomly generated, isn't it?
14K, it's got to be.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no map in the memory. Which technically there is, isn't there? The petrol stations and the names of the places. That's enough. See, if I program that will take up 14K without the game.
Yeah.
That was the thing with writing Spectrum games. I had probably 30 unfinished Spectrum games. On some, I've probably still got a couple of the tapes, but it was always memory. And I had all these fantastic ideas, and really, it took me a long time to really realise that was the thing. It was all about memory. It wasn't really about anything else. On the Spectrum, you had enough processing power to do what you wanted to do. You just didn't have enough memory. In 48K, and then in 128K as well, you realise actually. And the things they did were fantastic. At some point, we'll do where time stood still, which is, I think, really stretches it and uses 128K to its full. It's a fantastic piece of work.
It's hard to imagine though that memory was such a constraint factor in programming games.
Yeah, and you don't think about it now. You just use loads. Yeah. That's not very efficient.
There was
I've got gigs.
I've just got a trophy, Kev.
Yeah, one. I wonder how many there are in total.
I think it's 8.
Oh. Did you ever do it? Did you ever do it? I don't think I did.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
It's birthday.
Oh God. Well, I've always found it's time. The time isn't there, and if we'd had games we have today. When I was a kid, it would have been so awesome because I was bored. I had to keep playing different games because the games just didn't have the longevity, or they were just like Pool of Radiance or something where they were just so slow and boring. I think if you run that on an emulator, that scrolling looks different. That looks really weird. If that was on an emulator, I'd say, well, yeah, the emulator's not right. You can argue there's no space for optimisation if you've got 14K. If you've got it to fit in 14K, you've succeeded. The Spectrum was so important to our lives. It changed our lives, didn't it? That people like us couldn't have computers.
The thing is, when you have a go. When we got the Spectrum 40K, we didn't really go out and buy games.
Yeah.
So the games that we started with, it was
copies.
Well, no, they were the games that we I played all the time, sort of thing.
Oh, see, right. So yeah, I'm sure it was the same. That games weren't available that much. You couldn't just buy the new game, so you had to play the one you had.
Yeah.
That's another thing, isn't it? Actually, is that we can afford new games, but we can't play them. Whereas before we couldn't afford new games, so we had to keep playing the 16K games over and over again. Yeah, so Transon's an interesting one because it stands separately from the others. I always thought. They didn't make another game up that in Ultimate.
I think it's I mean, it's an enjoyable game. I would sit here and play this for hours.
It's just as difficult as Cookie, isn't it? But I think that's got more longevity. I think it probably sounds ridiculous to people who haven't played retro games, but you could explore.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do the Saywolf next. I think Lunar Jetman was the first 48K game. I think then a Tic Tac actually. Because of course this is a file system. You have to remember the Spectrum doesn't have a file system. The Interface 1 and the Microdrive has a file system, but the actual Spectrum doesn't have one. And this is obviously on the DVMMC thing we've got. EXE-DOS, what it's called, Exodus. Ghost joystick. Okay, this is. I think this is their second released 48K game. Okay, it's not their second created 48K game. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, I mean, we'll start with this because it's kind of a step down from a Tic Tac. It is a bit simpler. It's much more of a maze game.
You're playing quick something.
Yeah, you see how well programmed it is.
Yeah.
You see how fast it's moving around, and you can see the stampers just they were messing with arcade machines. And they saw the simplicity of the Spectrum's architecture. They understood it straight away that you can exploit that. You can get this amazing arcade type games out of it, which I'm sure people at Sinclair didn't realise it could do this. You look at the games on the original Horizon state that came with the Spectrum. It doesn't look like this. This is 84. This is a year before Jet Set Win. So we're down at the bottom of the map here. So the Saberwolf walks along the bottom of here, so we might see it in a minute. But there it is. There's nothing you can do with that Saberwolf. You just have to avoid it. There he goes.
So what's the aim of the game?
You have to find the four pieces of the Saberwolf amulet to escape, and then you have to go to the middle of the map where this thing stopping you escape moves out of the way because you've got the amulet. There's certain places the pieces can be.
It seems very familiar.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of elements of a Tic Tac. But although you've got the orchids, so that you can see the blue one makes you invulnerable and fast. The red one just makes you invulnerable. The yellow one is a sickness orchid, so you just stunned for a moment. The white one clears what orchids you've got. I think that's it. But apart from that, you've just got to find the four things and get to the middle, and that's it. Whereas a Tic Tac, you've got to find the different items to get past the different bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's interesting, the 16K games didn't run anything like as well as this.
It's so rapid, isn't it, that?
Yeah. So what's converted to the C64, it's a good conversion actually. It's a bit blocky and a bit slower. But other than that, it's much the same. So you could argue they didn't use the advantages of the C64, but then again, this game is designed specifically for this hardware. Oh. Always angry. You've got the natives. These are the natives, and when they do that, they are actually a bit more aggressive. That means you've been hitting them and they're annoyed. And sometimes it's difficult to get past them. You need nothing to get past them. I'm a bit disappointed I haven't found an item yet, a piece of amulet. I'm dead. 17%. So I finished this, but I didn't finish it as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, remember when finishing the game was actually quite special?
Yeah. I finished it in my late teens, actually, on an emulator. But I had to map it. I had to make a map. There was no way I could do without making a map. So this kind of area of the map where it's just a room. That's a peace place. That's a place you can find a piece of amulet.
Can I destroy these things? It just seems to be killing me.
Fire to use your sword.
Ah, right.
He only uses his sword left and right, so you've got to position yourself.
Ah, right, okay. So I can't stand and spam the button.
Yeah, you can just hold it down, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but so you can only hit them left and right, so there is a bit of a tactic in how you attack things. That's very different to a tick attack, obviously, where you've got the bouncing thing. In fact, if you go all the way over to the right, you can't actually get through, but we'll go there anyway. There's a bush. Because to get to round the other side, you see what is basically the exit at the top.
Yeah.
You've got to go all the way around the map. And as a kid, that bush was like, oh, imagine we could get up there. What's up there? What's through what is through there? It's that. You don't get that anymore because secrets in games, even if it's a secret, you can look online.
Is it a secret?
So it was only when I was like 18 or something, I finally got through that door there. So this was, obviously I would have played this on keyboard. I played all games on keyboard, isn't it? And my argument is those joysticks are awful. Even like the cheetah and all that, it's terrible. The keyboard is much better.
Oh,
you could have run through it. If you stay in the room, that's what would you call it? A time demon. Fire. So this is the first game in the Saberman story.
Yeah.
Which we'll get back to. The purple orchids. You're invulnerable, but your controls are backwards. So I'm pressing right now. Oh. I used to call this like fighting with the rhino. Rhino riding.
Yeah, I thought I was sitting on his back.
Yeah, and in Donkey Kong Country, you can actually get a rhino and ride it.
Yeah.
I thought it was sort of strange. I got the life. That's good. Ah.
Right from pillar to post there.
That's it, I think. Right, so that's Saberwolf. We'll now rewind to their first 48k game, which is a tick attack, which is actually a more elaborate game, interestingly. Oh, we go. 35k. Okay, I think this is a particularly good one. So straight away we can see a change in presentation.
It's a ramp up, isn't it? In sort of what's going on.
We had keyboard joystick start game in the Trans Am, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now we've got two different types of joystick, and we also choose who we want to be.
Character selection.
Yeah,
that's just great. Now, who should we be?
Knight, a wizard, or a serf?
Should we do wizard?
Yeah.
So it does make a difference as to which character you are, doesn't it?
Wizard.
Start game. So there's quite a lot going on in this game.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an exploration game, which is kind of cool. Actually, how do I pick that up?
Is it fire? Oh, perhaps I have to press space. Oh, space is pause. Try walking over it. Oh yeah, Z is pick up. That's another thing. See, the games are getting too complicated for a one-button joystick.
I've got the green key there. It means I can go through that green door.
Yeah.
You see that?
1884.
1884. So if you're a serf, you can just walk through that.
Right, the beer barrel.
Yeah. The chicken on the right is your life.
Yeah.
I think that red key is always guarded by that mummy.
Right, yeah. So do you have to get an item to stop the mummy?
I think you can do it without... so there's a bookcase. That's what the wizard can go through.
Yeah.
So they're sort of like secret entrances, but you will need these keys to get the thing. So the aim is where we started. There's a big door.
Yeah. It wasn't until the Super Nintendo because you play Street Fighter 2 with 6 buttons. Well, we got loads here.
Find some food. So yeah, the chicken times out. Chicken is your life. As you see, when you get hit, you sort of lose a bit of life.
Yeah, you gain all that back from the
food. Sort of picks it up. It goes down quite slowly. Yeah. So the idea is you keep food around for as long as possible until you actually need it.
Now, don't waste it when you don't need it.
Yeah. And obviously these white doors, they open at sort of like random, so it's sort of like keeping you in the room while...
Yeah, so again, it's making you play the game.
Yeah. That there was a trap door which will drop you down to a lower level.
Yeah.
So basically there are several levels.
Yeah.
I can't remember, is it 4 or something like that?
I think it's 4, yeah.
And normally there's an element of the key. So the way you start, there's like a big door, and you've got to get 3 sections of the key to get out of the door, and the aim is to get out of the door. So it's quite similar to all They're sort of like the more advanced Ultima games. You've got to collect something, and
You basically got to find the things.
Yeah.
This is considerably more elaborate, isn't it? You've got the keys, you've got the monsters, you've got to find the item to beat the monsters, you've got the locked doors.
so that's the thing. Not all monsters can be defeated, can they? They're sort of. I don't think anyway. I only ever found a few. So there's like a Frankenstein monster down on the bottom. You use a spanner.
Yeah.
There's a vampire. You can find a.
Is it a cross?
A cross, yeah, and it doesn't defeat him. It just keeps him away from you. I'm not sure. There's like a devil in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to. I can't remember if there was anything that did him. There's a hunchback somewhere as well. I think it was a red feather.
Oh, it was a red feather.
I think it
was
was
a frog's leg.
Oh, it might be.
I don't know what that's for though. Perhaps it is for the hunchback.
So let's go down a level.
Yeah. Nice sort of animation.
Cool, yeah.
You can see they've got memory to spare. This is only 35k.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty random.
Yeah.
Where things go. And the thing I love about this, and I think these sort of games, is that the exploration is a key part of the game. So it's running around.
Yeah, and you could map the game.
Yeah, in order to win this, you've got to map it. You've got to know where you've been and where you're going, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many rooms there are, but
and of all the 48k games, I think
there's
pretty much all of them you need to map. Probably except for Luna's Gem.
But I think that the mechanics of good gameplay are all here. There's several things that you've got to keep on top of.
Yeah.
Like your energy, you've got to plan, get your way around.
And there's enough of a random element for it to be different every time. And there's also 3 different ways of doing the map.
Yeah.
So even when you've mapped it, there's 3 different alternatives depending on who you want to be. I mean, I don't think sort of sprite routines, they're not the same as Sablewolf. There might be something in the player. I think it's more the sound. It's similar to Cyberman, but actually, that's nowhere near the speedy smoothness of Sablewolf.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's a much more complicated game. Another really nice touch is the fact that the ground floor is the caves. Because not only does it look different,
There it was.
There we go.
Macking him up.
He doesn't do anything anymore.
No. Oh, well, the thing is, he regenerates. I think if you go back through, he'll be there.
And of course, this was the template. This and Sablewolf were a template for so many Spectrum games, and not only Spectrum games. I mean, they changed everything. This had worldwide influence. These games, I think particularly these 3 we're doing. These 3 48k games we're doing, not the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Had huge influence.
Well, I've got to say, this sort of shaped my whole game in life. The things I love in games
Is in this game.
and it's exploration, and it's I don't know what.
It's kind of puzzles.
There we go. There's
a
key.
Yeah.
Drop the red one, I'd say.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is 83, or maybe early 84. Those things didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
People will say, but Nintendo. The NES came out in 83. That was Donkey Kong. The C64 at this time had, it was just using the basic hardware, so it was sprite-based shoot-em-ups, and you had Blue Max, which is nice isometric, but it was an arcade game. Now, it's got to be said, this is a much more substantial game than Sablewolf. You've been playing this for quite a bit longer, and we've got a lot more out of it. There we go.
Game over.
87% though. So you cover most of the map. You got 2 pieces of key. Technically, it's not bad at all, is it? Okay, so next, we should do Nightmare next. So it is back to you again.
Yeah.
So this next game was made before Sablewolf. It was actually finished before Sablewolf. These games, they didn't make them in the order they were released. And it's been suggested, so basically, if they'd have released this first, Sablewolf wouldn't have sold. And I'm sure they're right. It's not about the gameplay. 1984, this is the year before Jet Set Willy. We have this stunning isometric world. I mean, at the time, it must have been just mind-boggling. It's so far ahead of anything else at the time. Nothing looked like that. Nothing looked that good.
So start with the similarities with the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
You basically, is this a wizard or something like that?
Yeah.
You've got to get a load of bits for his cauldron.
Yeah.
I think, I can't remember, there's 14 bits, is there? But basically, each room's like a little mini puzzle. You've got to figure out how to get through. And it's isometric. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there's the sun passing. The sun's just going out. And when the sun goes out, you turn into a wolf.
Yeah, the curse of the Say Wolf.
Yeah.
Escape from the Say Wolf.
And slightly different things can happen in different rooms, depending whether you're a wolf or the... What is it, like an explorer?
Yeah, explorer guy.
Yeah,
Cyberman.
The Cyberman, yeah.
The guy from Say Wolf.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't happen that often, does it? Because there's one room that if you go in as the wolf, you definitely die.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's do the bubbles?
Oh, the bubbles follow you. Yeah.
Yeah, the bubbles follow you if you're a wolf,
Yeah,
or they run away from you if you're the Cyberman.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this is again exploration is key.
Yeah. You need to map it.
You've lost the chicken thing, which I thought was a brilliant part of the ticket, but you haven't got that in this. But that's probably because the game is actually really, really big.
Yes, and also the game, you can see it does slow down a lot.
Yeah,
it's not optimised. I mean, just the fact that they were doing it, you can see how
there you go.
They had this foresight about the hardware. They understood the hardware. Thought we can do this, and this wasn't long after they made this. You know, they finished this before Soulwolf.
Now, the problem with this game I had is I was really into it because it's a cool theme.
Yeah.
But I just never ever got on with isometric games.
Right. Yeah.
I just cannot figure out where the hell I am.
Yeah.
In the map.
That's part of the puzzle, isn't it? It's sort of figuring out the perspective.
Yeah. There
Whoa, that's okay. So the spell is going to go after me because I'm a wolf. Let's make him do it. So if you come in as a wolf, the spell's going to kill me. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And very similar techniques in this. So when you find something, because you've got 3 inventory slots again.
Yeah.
Again, brilliant concept.
Yeah.
You've got to manage your inventory quite tightly.
Yeah.
Because the order that you put the ingredients in the cauldron. So as you see, when this comes up now, it'll show you something, and that's so it's the bowl.
A bowl.
A bowl. It's the first ingredient.
So if I go through this door here,
that wizard doesn't do anything to you, do you? If you run into it. So in the middle
there,
there,
he kill you?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think if you touch him, he kills you. I think so. Or maybe only he's the wolf. So yeah, we've got to find a bowl. So there was a boot in that room.
Now, there's an interesting technique in there. You can't to get through some of the levels. You've got to do it's like a double jump, isn't it?
Oh yeah, with an item.
Yeah.
You drop an item, so you're standing up higher, and you've got to jump and pick up item at the same time.
I mean, in my mind, that's a bit of a bug, but
it's a bit of a cheater, isn't it? It's a bit of strange.
But I think you've actually got to.
You need it.
You need it.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go in there because you haven't got an item.
Oh yeah, because you can't get out again.
Because if it's not an item,
let's just do this. So you can see inside the spikes and there's a crystal ball.
No, you can do it with the crystal ball, can't you? Because you can use a crystal ball to get out.
Oh, of course, yeah. So now I've got I don't know the button for pick up. Okay, it's Z again. Okay, so I've got to
jump and Z at the same time.
That's my fingers. There we go.
That's it. I don't think they ever managed to fix the isometric problem.
No, it's just part of the game. That was it, wasn't it? I mean,
wasn't Sonic? It was a Sonic game that was isometric.
Sonic 3D was actually not the 3D Sonic. It was isometric. Yeah.
And I remember I played that. Well, so recently in the last couple of years, and it just absolutely fried my brain.
Yeah, same problem.
Couldn't cope with it.
It's also Rare's calling card. You know, they've done subsequent Snake Rattle and Roll and Cobra Triangle on the NES. But again, I mean, as with those other 2 games, this was so influential.
Yeah.
People must have reverse engineered it because there were lots of different isometric games that were much.
I mean, it's a sort of. It blows my mind how you could actually do this on the Spectrum.
I know.
The detail in the rooms and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's so little memory with nothing.
Yeah.
You just got a Z80. 3.5 megahertz. That's it.
That's actually like it, right?
An 8K screen. That's the key, really. It's how clever the screen is designed, and the ULA's I/O stuff, and the fast Z80. I can't get that. But the game is slower and more frustrating. The graphics inform the gameplay necessarily.
Yeah.
The problems with the graphics inform the gameplay. You don't get any invulnerability, so although you just regenerate, if I touched one of them again, I'd just be dead straight away.
Yeah.
There's no sort of grace period that you can get past. No! Yeah, I mean, somebody must have reverse engineered it. They must have done, surely. It's so specific, you know, and all those games that were the same as this, you know, and obviously they got better at doing it, and obviously John Rittman and Bernie, oh God, I don't even get through the screen.
Why not?
Magic spells volume. The spikes.
Huh.
Yes. You know, Bernie Drummond and John Rittman, I think their names were. They made that Batman game. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's the first Batman game. There's probably a 2600 Batman game before that. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know. There was a Superman, obviously. And then the follow-up to that, of course, was Head Over Heels, which runs much nicer than this. It's a lot faster. But obviously they've optimised it, haven't they?
Yeah.
This is Rare's
Extra
idea.
life there.
Head Over Heels is a much better game, to be fair, than any of these. It's the best one. But that's like 1988 or something. It's much later. Of course, Fallout was isometric.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever played the original Fallout.
And Fallout 2.
I mean, there's probably a good reason though. I generally don't like isometric games.
See, I do. I look at them and I think, oh, that's so cool. There was obviously Great Escape. Escape from Colditz on the Amiga. That's great. I think in my head at the time, a freedom of movement, you know, game where you can explore that's isometric was like the ultimate game.
I suppose, yeah. I remember being excited by the idea of an isometric game, but then being disappointed by the reality of it.
Yeah. Well, the reality of 3D games, really. I mean, there's a reason why, really, that, you know, the fourth generation when 3D, they got machines that could really do 3D, have aged really badly. You know,
Yeah.
that's kind of why third gen, sorry, not fourth gen, fifth gen. That's kind of why the previous gen is so good. You know, the Super NES and the Mega Drive. Ah!
Yeah,
Tell me what it wants, does it? Wolf. Alright, come on. There's another item in the room next opposite as well. Right, what do we need?
Oh, you got
Yes! Right, so what we do, you're going to stand on top of the pot. I
one.
think...
To rearrange your inventory.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Oh, actually, no, that'll come out first, won't it?
Double mode. Yeah. So you think this will kill you, but it doesn't? See, I'm not sure. It doesn't explicitly explain how to put things in the pot. I mean, on the one hand, it's obvious, but on the other hand, you'd think that would kill you, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the spells do kill you.
Yeah. So basically, that's the game.
Next.
You've got to find loads of items. It tells you what it wants in what order. And it's like 12 items or something like
It's
that.
14, isn't it?
Is it 14?
Yeah, and it's doubled, so there'll be two
Of each.
crystal balls, two.
Yeah. That's the spell getting on with the thingy. Right, there we go, that's Night Lord. I suppose what's significant is obviously this Night Lord wasn't on the 6502. Oh no, that's not true. No, it was on the Beam. It was on the C64. Because I'm sure they thought, well, it's just too slow. Which we'll talk about in a minute, which is quite interesting. Obviously, in the end, we got Head Over Heels. But at the time, that would have been considered a bit. It's not, you know, too much calculations. You can't. There's no advantage in using sprites or scrolling or anything like that. So you know. So yeah. However, we're not going to play this next game. We're just going to put it on. So the next stage of development, if you like. I mean, all these games were built made in the wrong order. So the order we got them in wasn't the order they were made, which became a problem because it often felt like a backward step. So this is Nightshade, and this is. Well, the 3D thing that was so popular, that was called Filmation. So this was supposed to be Filmation 2. You have to remember, this all happened very briefly. This all happened in a couple of months. But it is what we just described, in that it's 3D and it's scrolling. You know, you can go in buildings and they've got this clever way of having things disappear and appear. Interestingly, I find the game to this completely baffling. So we're not going to play this. think basically you just have to find things, and that's kind of it. So we're going to do what either Tim or Chris Stamper said was their last game. It wasn't the last Ultimate game to come out, but it was their last game they worked on, was Gunfright. And I think this is actually a bit of a forgotten gem. It's not really highly regarded, I think, because it was quite late. It was 86. But I think this is a great game.
I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about this until the...
Oh, actually, no, this will ring bells.
Oh, I didn't know about it until the compilation, the Ultimate compilation came out. This was the one I just thought, wow, this is great. So you are... I can't remember who you are. Basically, you're Wild West Saberman. It's obviously Saberman.
Very familiar.
Yeah. So you can see it is Filmation 2, the same as Nightshade. Monochrome, though, interestingly. I wonder if that makes it it's just a bit faster.
Yeah,
because it is quite speedy, you know. I think the argument is they felt they've pushed the spectrum as far as it's going to go. That's that's it.
You can see that. I mean, this is hard to believe. This is a spectrum.
Yeah. And I mean, you could argue there's other things that were a bit further, but basically it was just about optimising that.
Yeah, it's just. I take it this was a 1-8.
No, 48.
Really?
Yeah. Ultimate never made any 1-8 games. This is a 48 machine. Oh God!
This is a 48 machine.
Yeah.
Oh.
If it was a 1-8, I wouldn't have modded it. Because we haven't said actually, have we, that we're playing this on my modded Spectrum Plus, and by modded I mean it's got composite. You have to remember all these old computers. They use this horrible RF out that you had to tune in. It was usually channel 36 on PAL, and I've been talking about the game. Okay, so we've got to catch Buffalo Bill, and we found him. We follow the people who are pointing, and then we have to do a quick draw thing, which is incredibly difficult.
You only got one bullet.
I'll just play for more. It's the actual next bit is difficult. There we go. Right, so basically, you just got to be really fast. I got him! Hey! You got half a second to respond, basically, and then you have to catch the next one. Billy the Kid, and that's the game. I think that's lots of fun. There's loads of different characters. It's almost sort of the next generation of games. Like makes me think of Punch Out on the NES.
Yeah.
You know, with all the different characters and things, which is something you'd expect with a lot more memory.
Yeah.
And obviously the NES had the advantage of, because it's got a cartridge, they can make the games a lot bigger. So of course they went to the NES, that was the thing. Oh, you got me. So yeah, that's the final moment of Ultimate, I think. And I mean, and stylish clears all the way to Hobby Horse. I wonder if, they always had cartoony graphics, but somehow on better technology, it lost its appeal a bit. I think you had things like Conker and Conker's Bad Fur Day and what's it called? Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh yeah.
And they're alright, but it actually is the same cartoony style. They're trying to follow the same pattern, but somehow, for me, it lost its appeal a bit. Obviously, then they did Donkey Kong Country, and obviously that was all about the graphics. But because the SNES had 128 colours on screen, it was strange that nobody had done that already. That didn't think of what makes some really elaborate plasticine models. Motion capture them, and you've got 128 colours. It's going to look all lovely and 3D, not sort of did.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, Donkey Kong.
No.
Well,
it's
really hard, isn't it?
It's really hard. I mean, there's something the other games we've done, sort of like a Tic Tac, Van Zam, and something like that. Just sit down and play them, and there's cool stuff going on, and you sort of. I love the way gameplay sort of expands. So you think the game's something quite simple and that, and then you find another aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And I love that, and that wasn't. I couldn't imagine it drawing me. I just thought, okay, I'm running around looking for this guy, and then I got to kill him, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Technologically, it's a lot better.
Yes.
Or technically.
Yeah, but
gameplay is actually a backward step, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's nowhere near as fun as Filmation 1 games, and which is probably nowhere near as fun as a Tic Tac. So you can see actually that by this point they must have, they brought it as far as they can go, and with each pushing the technology was slowly pushing out the gameplay.
Yeah.
Which did happen. Really did happen. The Mega CD era and the early PlayStation games, or maybe a little bit before that, was a real nadir of gameplay, really, wasn't it? Where, oh my god, it can play videos in really low resolution. It's amazing. You press the button at the right time. Dragon's Lair. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But you think about how Charlie Chef moves, or Jetpack, the way it moves around the screen. You think about how that great big sprite lurches around the screen, scrolling everything.
Yeah.
And you can straight away,
Well, this looks familiar.
But yeah, so centre of the map in Saberwolf is the underworld. You go in this cave. That's this, and then you find the exit at the top, but you're cursed in different ways. So one of the exits is Nightlore. One of the exits is Pentagram, which was a very late released isometric Filmation 1 game, which was released far too late. So everyone was fed up with it by then. But the third one was Mire, which was never released. And when they sold Ultimate to US Gold, they were so annoyed with US Gold just being rubbish, and they weren't going to use the brand properly, and they were just going to sell things on budget.
Yeah.
They told them it was unfinished, but there was someone who worked there who claims Mire was finished, but not released. But they told them it wasn't finished because they were just fed up with them. It'd be nice to believe. I think that it actually did exist, but it's possible the guy was just saying it because it helps the mystique.
Just bullshitting, basically.
It does show the thing that these games, I played them at the time. So is it really, that if I played them fresh now, would I really have the patience? We'll probably see a similarity to it. This is the thing. I think that there's a bit of a thing with Lunar Jetman, but it is a bit slow.
It's quite slow, isn't it?
But it's almost like a work in progress of sort of where they wanted to go. But maybe they've just found that it was still doing fast enough, and, or maybe US Gold finished it off. Maybe, but it's never been answered. You have to collect parts of the ship and all that stuff.
Ooh, you get past that. That's cool.
You've got all this landscape to fly around. Lots of baddies and clouds. I've never really played it. Dead.
It's a bit like
It is a bit like Lunar Jetman, isn't it?
Yeah. I like a bit of collecting the ship and making it better.
Yeah, I think I've seen a clip of some ridiculous great big thing with all the bits all together at the end of the game. Yeah, so that's the Ultimate games. We did 6 of them. There's basically 12 classic ones, which are on this compilation. There's only 11 on this because there's no Underworld. There was some sort of copyright with that. So altogether you got Jetpack, Tic Tac, Lunar Jetman, Cookie, Transam, Nightlore, Alienate, Nightshade, Gunfright, Saberwolf, plus Underworld. Are the classics. So you kind of ignore those later dodgy ones. You can see just from looking at that how they were boxing things and it was all very special.
Presentation was important.
Yeah, and it was all psychological. It was very clever. You got they all had this sort of semi-poetic little things introducing the game. Which it's very cool. It's very cool. But it was expensive. Of course, they managed to charge more for their games once they went 48. I think it might have been $9.95 actually, or $7.95. Games were supposed to be $5.95 at that point. So they started the trend actually for more expensive games. We'll put them in a posh box. But I mean, comparatively speaking, they were worth it compared to other stuff on the Spectrum because it was so far ahead. Something like Saberwolf, compared to the average game on the Spectrum, that's people would pay more. So we played 6 games. Basically, we looked at the others, but we did play 6 games. We played Cookie and Transam, and we played Saberwolf and a Tic Tac, and Nightlore and Gunfright. I reckon these were those 12 games, that era, they were the best games in the world at that point. So it'd have to be pre-85 because that's when Super Mario Brothers comes out. I don't think there's anything better. We're talking computer games here. It's interesting that they came from arcades because for the first time, computer games were a thing that weren't just adventure games. They were this wonderful, all-encompassing, great graphics and more longevity than anything before it. You know?
Yeah, I mean the thing that gets me. I mean, I'm going to be heavily biased because the Tic Tac was an amazing piece of my childhood. It was. Yeah,
the question is the nostalgia question. Are we being nostalgic?
I don't think so with the Tic Tac.
It is a genuinely. Ticks all the boxes, doesn't it?
It is an awesome game. It's got everything in it that I love in computer games. It's got exploration. Yeah. It's got cool kind of storyline. It's got. I suppose it hasn't got puzzles.
Not exactly. No.
No. But I suppose the key.
You've got to find a thing to do the thing.
That's
the right
which is
thing.
pretty cool.
Match the thing with the thing.
Yeah. It's very fast paced. I mean, the chicken is sort of like whoa.
Yeah. It does go down without getting there.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Trans Am again, I find, although I was rubbish at it, I haven't played it in a long time, I find it quite addictive. Yeah. The later games, Sabre Wolf and the isometric, I've always struggled with isometric games.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to change because of this. But yeah, I see the sort of, I'm not an arcade game person. It's got to be said.
Yes.
I used to think, wow, that was a waste of 10 pence.
It's like a fruit machine.
Yeah. So this is the birth of computing to me. I mean, there was other games like Centipede, I suppose, that I used to play quite regularly. But
that's definitely an arcade game.
That is an arcade game.
Yeah, these are computer games, and they've got more longevity. It's a different thing to an arcade game.
Yeah.
Different thing to a console game. Then.
Mm-hmm. I mean, these have actual personalities, don't they?
Yeah, an awful lot. Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, and it is the whole package, isn't it? It's not just the gameplay. It's also they look fantastic for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, it must have been baffling. How did they do that?
Yeah,
on nothing, on no hardware. You know, they did. You know, I did say they did release stuff on other platforms. I think the BBC. I don't know why. The BBC was one of their favourite other platforms. They did convert things. I don't know if they did it themselves or they got someone to do it. But I think because the Beeb's 2 megahertz, it was a bit faster than the VIC-20 and the C64. So it had a better chance of doing the isometric stuff. Jetpack was on the VIC-20 as well, but mostly C64 games. It's interesting. They had to have C64 games. C64 was massive, obviously, but they had their own series of games on there. Sort of to replace Filmation, they had this oblique perspective thing, which obviously is more reliant on the sprites. It's more suitable to the hard work and look very pretty, and not made by the stampers. It was made by someone. They're not going to set the world alight, and they're not going to set the C64 world alight, so they wouldn't be particularly significant to people who grew up with the C64. So again, it's like I said, some people would think, well, why a Rare? What's so special about Rare? They're all right. They made GoldenEye. That's good. You know, and that's why. But they were a Spectrum software house.
Yeah.
It's kind of like System 3 were a C64 software house. And kind of all their conversions were generally terrible, even to the Amiga. You know, it was where the System 3, the C64 version was better than the Amiga version. You know, it's a similar thing here, really. They did convert Nightshade to the C64. I don't know if I said this, strangely. It's really slow. But eventually they did get it onto the C64. You know, the head over heels is on the C64. It's a bit slow, but it's all right. So obviously once they got the hang of the C64, it got there eventually, but not with Rare. And like I said, you can see how they must have been frustrated with the Spectrum. That Filmation 2, you can see what they wanted to do, and the hardware just wasn't going to do it. And that was as far as they were going to get. As I said, though, you know, where time stood still is something we should do at some point. The problem is, you know, to do this, to make everything just perfect. All the games are perfect. There's no glitches, there's no... all the graphics, but there's good gameplay. Nothing like that. They're just wonderful. The sound is perfect, and, you know, it's only the Spectrum beeper. It isn't even proper sound. They worked every day. I think 84 and 85 or something like that. They worked every day. They had Christmas morning off. You know, that's what it takes. There's only 4 people doing that. You know, making the best games in the world. So it is a sad story because they must have realised, well, we can make more money in a completely different way. They don't have to make such good games. And they saw this new hardware that Nintendo were making in '83. You know, They must have realised the global potential that was going to be a big thing. They must have realised, and they were the first people to sort of contact Nintendo about third-party games, which Nintendo hadn't even considered. Nintendo, well, we make our own games for our hardware. How dare you? I imagine they looked at the games and thought, oh, what, on that hardware? So, yeah, and they can sell Ultimate. They sold Ultimate Play the game to US Gold. Do a deal with Nintendo and churn out loads and loads of games. Some are fantastic, some aren't. Some are rubbish, sadly. They made much more money, lower quality product. They made a fortune. So it wasn't the end of great Ultimate games or rare games. It was the end of consistency, and they never got that back. And so that, in a sense, is a sad story. In there is, it wasn't worth doing. Make my money making crap.
I mean, it used to be a regular thing, didn't it? Games programmers were massively overworked and overstretched, sort of thing.
They always have been. Yeah. Exploited.
I don't think it's such a big thing now. I mean, you have these obviously they probably work hard, but games these days take hundreds and hundreds of people to make, with all the graphics artists and stuff like that.
But you don't have any personal investment in it, do you?
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it's just a credit.
Yeah, so you only want to make, if the game comes out crap, well, not me. I just made this bit. I made this routine that sends the data over here.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing, is it?
Yeah.
But they had this mystique. Obviously, it's kind of a Pink Floyd thing, in that they didn't talk to the magazines. They really didn't talk to the magazines because they're too busy. But it became a thing. This mystique, these mysterious magic people who release the best games in the world, and they were so far ahead, But some of the magazines didn't like them because they didn't advertise enough. They didn't get as good reviews. So that's why this is actually a Crash Magazine thing, because Crash Magazine didn't do that. It's also why Crash Magazine didn't survive, because they were honest about when games were rubbish. I think later on they weren't, actually, sadly. Special Era, still very playable games.
Yep.
Probably the less technically amazing ones play better. They feel more amazing now than they did at the time. Now, as the hardware itself has faded into the distance of ridiculousness and nothing. It's nothing. It's just a chip.
Well, games like this have more relevance today with mobile phone gaming.
Yeah. It was the revival of that. Yeah.
Because, we sat and played the Cicada. I think that was 20 odd minutes we played for it. And it was just like that. And that is a sort of kind of time frame you spend on a phone sort of game.
Yeah. So we could do a playthrough if we could actually finish it. We'll have to figure it out first.
Yeah.
Do a playthrough. But would anyone want to see a playthrough of the game? I don't know. Obviously, there's no point in showing 20 minutes of us losing the game. But
well, yeah, maybe if you want to see a playthrough,
let us know. Yeah.
In the comments below. Yeah.
Ultimate Play the game.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy playing these.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting when we do. This is our first video, so sorry about the production values. When we do, the NES and the C64 and all that, will it have that magic?
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah. See you next time
for who knows what.
Yeah.
We're looking for suggestions.
Yeah.